We are talking about abundance in all areas of your life. And today we're talking about the book Anatomy of Abundance. We have one of the co authors here, and I'm really excited to share her story with you. Stay tuned. We're talking about abundance in all areas of our life, our financial, our relationships, our mental and emotional states. And we're going to talk a little bit today about clutter and how releasing that clutter brings in the abundance. And we have one of the co authors of the book, Anatomy of Abundance, here. Kymberly J. She wrote a chapter in this book, and she's here to share a little bit about her, who she is, and a little bit about the book that we're releasing. So, Kymberly, thank you for being here and for sharing your story in this book. I this book has been amazing to just watch it develop and grow. And I know you and I have spoken a few times and gotten your chapter, out of your head onto the paper. And so, why don't you just tell us a little bit about that process and what that was like?
Oh my gosh, it was definitely a journey. And it still is a journey, even with the chapter being completed and just, the reflection on it. And this was my first time co-authoring or even authoring a chapter within a book. And I didn't know what to expect other than, I know people run from it. They want to write about something or they have a topic that they want to speak about and just sometimes never actualize it. So when the opportunity came around, it was like, let's commit to this, let's do it. And just like you said, I had so many ideas in my head. Getting them down on paper was quite the challenge because there were so many just different aspects of the topic I wanted to cover. You almost don't know where to start, where to focus on. And then once you do get it down on paper, it's like, oh my gosh, now I need to scale it back and really just make sure I have, the meat and potatoes that's really going to impact the reader. So it was a fun journey. I definitely took my time with it, kept in mind the deadlines, but you really got to find yourself in flow and just not fight to force what you want to get out. Just let it come from the heart. And once you kind of get in that flow of letting it come from the heart, it's a lot easier. And I had fun. I enjoyed it.
Great, great. Now you talk a little bit about the financial side of it, and that's what you do for a living. Why don't you, tell everybody, a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely. So I've been in financial services and insurance for the last 8 years, and I've pretty much gone the full gambit. I got my start working with different businesses, helping them establish their benefits, look at what they want to offer their employees. And as a young woman, I was just very naive to what it takes to manage your finances. So everything that I was learning was talking to different employees and executives and kind of taking their experience. And so many of us rely on what we get from our jobs to secure us long term. Well, for me, I was headed in the entrepreneurial route. So I had to kind of learn from myself. And that's where I picked up the passion of financial planning for myself. And since then, I've been helping individuals and families just navigate their financial roadmap and just make sure that it's specific to them and make sure that they know what stops and blocks may come up. And we have an action plan on how to combat those. But ultimately, it's feeling comfortable and confident about where you're going to be with retirement. So those conversations are very, very fun. And just like in the book, people get cluttered within their finances. I don't know how many people I sit down with that just stop opening their mail. So not only is it a physical representation of the clutter that their money's experiencing, but, an emotional and mental hold as well, because they know they're avoiding something that's so important to them. So I've enjoyed being in the industry. Along the way, I really like organization, like literally your physical space. I've been married for 2 years now. I have 3 beautiful stepchildren, and I just gave birth to my first daughter in January. And teaching my girls, my stepdaughters, as they've matured and gotten older and become adult women, and now having my daughter, just that example of how do you tackle all these different areas in a way that feels balanced and harmonious. So I've been helping others just stay organized in life and stay on top of their time management, because those are the little things that make a big difference.
Yeah, and when we're holding on to stuff, right? Clutter, and you can't get more stuff in. You can't you can't have that abundant life if you're holding on to things that are no longer serving you. And so being
Exactly.
able to, and that's what you talked about in your chapter. Um, so the the title of your chapter is Clutter Created This Mess, Organized to Maximize. So, talk a little bit about that. I mean, getting rid of the clutter in your life in order, because we're talking about abundance here. In order to
Yes.
live an abundant life, how does getting rid of that clutter really help?
So one, you have to be willing to take inventory. There's that idea of be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. And then if you get everything that you want, you've got to create a home for it so that it's valued and it's treasured. And sometimes we ask for things and we get them before we really made space for them. So if I use like a physical example, I love clothes. I love clothes. I hate doing laundry. So often you could see at one point in my life, you could see where all of the clothes were exciting, but very quickly they were in a basket piled up next to each other. And if I didn't get to it on Monday, then there's Tuesday. And now we have 2 loads on Tuesday. Now we've got 3 loads on Wednesday. And if you miss so many days, you could almost feel like I'm never going to get to this, so I'm just not going to do it. So how am I going to buy more clothes or value those things? Once you start to see, well, what do I actually wear? Am I wearing all these clothes, or are they getting mixed up in the pile of what I thought I was going to wear? And then once I decide that I can get rid of some of those things that I'm not wearing, I can kind of see, oh, this is the style that I have. This is what I like to wear. This is what makes me feel good. So then when I go out to the store, I'm not buying a bunch of things that I'm not going to use. I'm going to buy things that actually serve me, that actually represent who I am right now, and are going to make me feel good. And I think ultimately with my chapter, that's what I want people to understand, is that there are going to be times when you take on a lot more than you feel like you can handle, and that's okay. That's the exciting part. That's stepping out on faith. But you do want to get to a space where you can feel good while you're doing it. As women, we take on a lot of different things. We get excited and we're doing everything and we're checking the list, but then subconsciously there's like a missing joy or a fulfillment. So by decluttering some of the things that you're doing, if it's physical or if it's your relationships, same things. I have friends who are extremely organized, can plan things down to the T on paper, but because they're so good at it, they often take on other people's burdens, and they're trying to figure out, well, how do I help this person and that person? And, next thing you know, they're exhausted and they don't have time for the people who really are going to pour back into them. So it's getting to that space of balance and harmony in all aspects of life and what you're doing. And that's often, again, time management, prioritizing what it is that you really want to do, where your values fall, and then making sure that you make a time for those things.
Yeah, that time management is really key, right? In living that abundant life, and in getting the things done on time, and making sure that we take care of ourselves
Mm-hmm.
enough, you know. So
Absolutely. To that point, one of the things I love about Patrina, who got all us authors together and just really put together a phenomenal panel of women. One of the things that I love that I learned from her very early on is just that phrase of "I get to," not "I got to," because it feels good to say, "Oh, I got to get this done," and then you get it done. But I get to get it done means it was intentional and your heart was in it, and you knew what what the outcome could potentially be for yourself. It just feels a lot better to the spirit and to the soul when we look at things in that way.
yeah. So we're talking to the authors of Anatomy of Abundance. This book is available on Amazon. Head over there, grab your copy, and when you get over there, head on over to go.patrinawisdom.com/abundance, and over there you'll get a bunch of free gifts from the authors. We're really excited about this book. We want to make this book a number one bestseller, because it really has a lot of nuggets of wisdom in there, and a lot of you know have you like met the other authors and connected with the other authors, and what has that experience been like? 'Cause I know that you said this was your first time being part of a book. um, what has the connections with the other authors done for you?
Oh my gosh, it's grounded the whole process. I mean, I remember our first call when there were a few of us who professional, respected, successful in our given industries, but again, had never co-authored a book. So to see these powerful women who have had success in other areas take a chance and be vulnerable and put their heart on the page, it felt really good. And it's like, I'm not alone. We have the areas where we feel the most strong about. And then when you have other people who are supporting you and saying, we believe in you, you can do this, get it done. It just helps you to get it done. So that part of it was just phenomenal. And as I've watched the chapters develop and just had a chance to get to know the women, it's really been impactful. One area in particular, so in the book, we have a section that deals with grief. And I had lost my grandmother probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And that was very tough for me, but it's right around the time when this book is coming out and we're getting ready to share, and me inviting people into our space. And the ladies just really kind of poured into me and gave me a chance to say, hey, it's okay to feel what you're feeling right now. And it just, it was like, you wrote your chapter, but what we got from each other and reading each other's experiences and expertise is just priceless. It was just
Yeah.
completely priceless. I will never forget this experience, and it won't be the last for sure.
And I love that about doing this and being part of these books, because of the relationships that even us as publishers have with the authors, and seeing the authors come together, and that camaraderie, and
Oh, yeah.
the the bonds that form because you're part of something together.
Seeing all of the messages in our group chat and just watching, and some people are more active than others in our group chat, but just listening into it and seeing what's moving, what's happening. I really appreciated you guys, and just, you could tell you believe in this, with just the professionalism of the process that you guys have shown me personally. I just am truly appreciative. That's a big piece of it.
Yeah.
Huge piece of it.
Well, thank you for being part of it, and for sharing your story, and for getting that out there. Um, so what made you say yes to being in this whole thing right at the beginning, before you knew what any of this was? Why?
So
You,
it's very interesting. It was not an immediate yes, and I'm grateful for that. So myself and Patrina, we work together. We've been business partners. I've done things with her in the past. So I already knew anything that she was going to associate herself with or pull us together for, that it was going to be quality. It was going to be top tier. So that's what initially had me like, watching my messages and like, okay. Like I said, gave birth in January of 2023. This was my first time having a child, my daughter. And, I have FOMO sometimes, fear of missing out. So initially when the opportunity came around, I was a little bit nervous. Like, can I do this right now? Like, I got the baby and it's new and there's all these other things pulling. I don't know if it's time. But again, my chapter is about having boundaries, having schedules, getting to do what you want to do. So it was almost like, if I stand true and believe in everything that I've been doing, the process that I had just taken myself through 2 or 3 years ago, I needed to say yes to this book. I needed to create some boundaries. I needed to just get the job done, and I got to get the job done. And it was a beautiful thing. And now I'm looking at the other end and I'm like, wow, I see these bestseller stickers coming out and all the hard work. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe what we've accomplished. It's here. We're in January, 2 days, and the book comes out. Like, that's the greatest experience I've had so far in the last couple of years, for sure. I'm so glad that I said yes.
awesome. So what do you want the readers to take away from reading your chapter in this book?
Get organized. Get organized in the sense that you might not do everything every day the right way and check everything off the to-do list. But if you feel clear about what that to-do list is, where your intentions is, you can get it all done. I'll kind of leave them with this. So when I first got to first, I did my process of brain dumping and getting what was cluttering my mind out on paper and figure out which line items I needed to attack first. And one of the things that had been really plaguing my mind was wanting to spend time with my grandmother. Well, she lived 45 minutes away from me. I have my family. So I was really trying to figure out, how am I going to have the time to go see her? Well, when I took myself through the brain dump process into the time management, I figured out where the perfect slot in my schedule was to see her. Now, the next week, I didn't immediately get to go see her. No, because I had to get people to buy into the schedule. I needed to understand, you're going to cook dinner for yourself. I need to see, how is the baby going to act? Can I get away? I needed to readjust my calendar for work to make sure it was going to work. So while I was focused on these other areas, when the time came around for me to say, okay, now I can really make that time to go see my grandmother, I knew exactly what time it was going to be. I knew exactly what day it was. There was no thinking. And that allowed me to add that into my schedule and enjoy it, and to see my family nurture something that was so important to me and figure out how to manage for themselves and understand that, hey, on this day we do things a little bit different. It was just truly special to me. So for her to pass recently, it's like, wow, I'm really grateful of what that taught me. And I'm really excited to share that with others, so that you do get an opportunity to enjoy time with people who are important to you. You do get an opportunity to say yes to co-authoring a book and working with other phenomenal people in your industry or otherwise. So that's what I want people to take away, is you can do it all. You get to do it all. You just got to get clear about what you want to do.
Awesome. So if you want to connect with Kymberly, she has her calendar, calendly.com/Kymberly Spears, shifting gears /introduction. Kymberly, thank you so much for being part of this book, for being here. And we love having you in Anatomy of Abundance in our family now, in our Action Takers family.
Yes.
Thank you
so much.
Hi, I'm Debbie Allen, and I just had an amazing opportunity working with Linda. She really knows publishing, and this is a big thing coming from me, because I've written now 10 books. She helped me with my 10th book. I've been working with major publishers and had all kinds of amazing opportunities, but I wanted to get this book done fast, and I wanted to work with somebody that could publish it for me, do a hybrid publishing. And I just thought, okay, I'll take a chance on Linda, let's get it done. And she walked me through this process so easily. It was such a joy. And here is the big deal. I have been a professional expert in marketing and books for over 20 years, and I learned a lot from Linda. She gave me some great marketing ideas I never even thought of. My book was timely. In fact, it was a month early, and we even made Amazon bestseller before our launch. I can't tell you that she's just an amazing person to work with. She follows up. She gives you more than you're expected, that you expect you're going to get, and you will get a really high quality product, and you'll have a really great time working with Linda. She's a true professional.